Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Ethereum is still perfectly playing out this bearish signal that I've been warning about, while Chainlink is now invalidating this major breakout with a break back to the downside, while the price of Solana is crashing on this chart exactly as expected, while the price of Cardano is now playing out this bearish signal here in the short term, this new bearish pattern with a price target to the downside. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Ethereum chart, and right now it's very much clear at this point, obviously, that the price of ETH is entering into its first major correction during the larger bull market right here. In fact, this is really the largest amount of bearish price action that we've seen since this major crash that we saw back here during around April all the way up until around September this year. Obviously, we saw a lot of bearish price action back then, and right now we're seeing something similar potentially start to play out. And so with the current price action at the moment, there is actually an increasing chance that we could come back down to test this line of support right here, as we have seen multiple times over the last multiple years here. And as of right now, of course, this is still an ascending line of support. So on the much larger timeframes here, technically this is a bullish trend, as we can see here, with short-term dumps or corrections along the way. And right now, in case you're wondering, this line of support is sitting at approximately 2.5 to 2.6k. But of course, between now and then, we have other levels of short-term support I'll talk about in just a moment. But of course, right now, when it comes to resistance, we still have strong resistance at around 4.1k, which I've been warning about since before we actually hit that level and rejected from that level. Because first of all, on the 3-day time frame, once again, strong resistance at 4.1k, and also on the daily time frame, strong resistance in between 3.9k to 4.1k, which, like I just said, this is something that I've been warning about over and over again here on the channel every day for weeks now, saying we should be expecting the price to struggle a lot in that area. And we've seen that exactly as expected. So this should not really be surprising right here, seeing a rejection from this resistance. But what we have just seen over the last one day is a clear break to the downside below this area of support, which was previous resistance and was acting as support here for a couple of weeks. And that was sitting at around 34.30 to 35.60. So obviously, now that we've broken below that area, this is another bearish signal, at least in the short to midterm, for the price of ETH. And right now, the next support to watch out for is this area sitting in between around $3,000 to $30.50. So just above $3,000, acting as support as we've seen previously. And so really around 3,000 to 3.1k, that is the support to pay attention to, at least in the short term. But if we break below 3,000, then of course that'll be another bearish signal pointing towards a drop down towards this next area of support. And that's sitting in between around 2.7k to 2.8k. So if we lose 3,000 as a level of support, expect a move down towards 2.7 to 2.8k. And if we lose that area, then expect a full retracement back down towards this ascending line of support right here at close to 2.6k approximately. And so as of right now, clearly the short-term situation is bearish, as we have rejected from significant resistance, broken below significant support, and of course still playing out this bearish divergence that I've been warning about every day here on the channel since pretty much this exact high right here. I've been talking about this bearish divergence, saying that we're losing bullish momentum in the short term, and we should be expecting either a pullback in the price or at the very least some choppy sideways price action. So basically no more bullish momentum in the short term and more bearish momentum right now. And like I've just been saying, once again, I've been sharing this bearish divergence, this warning signal for weeks now. And so as of right now, this bearish divergence is still currently actively playing out, which means right now the short-term situation is still bearish. But when it comes to the longer term, technically speaking, for as long as we're holding above this line of support sitting at around 2.5k to 2.6k, and for as long as we're holding above these previous lows at around 2.2k approximately, technically it is possible we can remain within this massive multi-year bull market that we've really been in since around mid-2022 for the price of Ethereum. But of course, if we broke back below this line of support, and especially below these lows right here on the weekly time frame, that would be a massive change in the price structure on the weekly time frame, pointing towards a bear market, potentially a year-long bear market or a multi-year bear market if we lose around 2.2k as a major level of support. And an early signal would be if we break below this line of support at around 2.5k to 2.6k. But that's talking about the longer term situation when we're looking at the larger time frames. And once again, either way, the short term situation, at least as of right now, is bearish, as I've been saying for quite some time. And if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the weekly time frame, it's a very similar story right now for Chainlink as what I just said for Ethereum. Obviously, we're seeing that major rejection from this strong resistance, which was sitting at close to $31 to $34 as an area of resistance that I've been warning about since really before we actually hit that area, because we had this Fibonacci level of resistance at close to $31, and also based on these previous highs, strong resistance at around $34. So as I've been saying since before this rejection, I would only expect to move up towards this all-time high at around $53 and beyond if we can first break out beyond this resistance. And obviously we have not done that. That's still acting as strong resistance, and we rejected from pretty much exactly $31, right where that Fibonacci level of resistance is sitting at. And in fact, as of recording this video, the price of Chainlink is indeed starting to drop below this golden pocket right here, which was previous significant resistance and was temporarily a bit of support right here in the short term. And that was sitting at around $21 to $23. But right now, with the price potentially starting to break below that area, and especially if this confirms with a weekly candle close, which by the way, the next weekly candle close confirms in around 2.5 days from now. And so if this break to the downside confirms below $21 with a weekly candle close, in that case, the next support to watch out for is sitting at around just above $18, right around $18 right there as the next support. And below that, we have more support closer towards $16 based on this 50% retracement level, and also these previous highs right here acting as new support at close to $16. And so those are the levels of support I'll be watching out for right now. And if we were to actually break below 16, then expect to move down towards around $12 to $13. But for now, those are the support levels to pay attention to here in the somewhat shorter term while this pullback is continuing. And for the bulls out there, in order to basically revive this bull run right here, we need to see a breakout very soon back above this golden pocket. So back above around $21 to $23. Ideally, before this weekly candle close confirms, we need to get back above around $21. So for now, obviously, things are starting to not look too good right now for the coming weeks or months if this break to the downside confirms with that weekly candle close. And if that break to the downside confirms on this time frame, that would also mean a break to the downside confirming on this Chainlink chart right here, also on the weekly time frame, which means invalidating this breakout and invalidating this pattern right here. Because as always, when it comes to breakout trades just like this, if we break out to the upside and then if we confirm a break back below the point of the breakout, that invalidates the breakout and invalidates the pattern and the price target. And also, as I always mention, when it comes to these breakout opportunities right here, we cannot ignore resistance. Even though we have a breakout playing out and a price target, the price can still reject from significant resistance, exactly as we've just seen here. And so that is the current situation right now. Once again, this is potentially right now invalidating, and that invalidation will be confirmed with this next weekly candle close if it confirms below around $23 approximately. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, technically speaking, this bearish divergence is still actively playing out right now, as I've been warning about since all the way back up here when the price of Chainlink was pretty much at $30. I've been warning about this bearish divergence playing out right now in the short term. But as of right now, at the time of recording this video, the 4-hour Chainlink RSI is officially entering into oversold territories for the first time in actually a long time for the price of Chainlink. And so as I said yesterday in my last altcoin video, we were getting close to oversold territories in the RSI, but not there just yet. So I mentioned yesterday that we still have more room to the downside. We could still see another drop here before eventually seeing a bit of a bounce. But I said sometime soon, potentially in the next day or two, we will likely see some sort of bounce, potentially after another drop. And right now, obviously, we have seen that another drop right here. And right now, the RSI is entering into oversold territories, meaning we have technically somewhat limited room to the downside. And we're now due to see some sort of relief very, very soon. Because basically an oversold signal is the exact opposite to an overbought signal. And we can see what happened at these previous overbought signals right here around the 12th of December and around the 2nd of December. Ultimately, we saw a lot of bullish price action leading to the overbought signal. And then we saw a cool off, a break from all of that bullish price action over the next couple of days or so. And so with this oversold signal being the exact opposite to an overbought signal, it tells us that we've already seen a lot of bearish price action, as we can clearly see right here. And we're now due to see a bit of a break or relief from all of that bearish price action. Now, that does not necessarily mean a massive pump all the way back up, because if we're looking at these overbought signals right here, that did not mean immediately a massive crash all the way back down, because once again, it simply just means we've gone too far to the downside too quickly, and we need a little bit of time to have a slight little relief, which, by the way, can reset the RSI back to the upside, which can give us more room to the downside later on. So keep that in mind. And so overall, the bearish divergence is still active right now, but very soon, potentially over the next day or so, it is quite likely that we're going to begin the next relief, whether it's right now or very, very soon once again. And overall, we're getting very close to officially confirming the invalidation of this breakout on the larger timeframes, which means Chainlink would be looking more bearish for potentially the coming weeks, maybe even over the next 1 or 2 months, but at least for potentially a couple of weeks if we confirm this weekly candle close, especially back below around $21. And if you want to actually trade these moves in the price of any crypto, even if the price is bearish, we can use things like short positions to profit on the way to the downside. And so if you want to take trades just like that, personally, I take a lot of my trades over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive deposit bonus only using that link down below this video. So if you simply just click that link to make your BTNX account and deposit $100 worth of crypto and start trading, you get a $20 bonus. Or if you deposit just 500 USDT and start trading, you get a $100 bonus. Or if you deposit just 1,000 USDT and start trading, you get a $200 bonus straight into your BTNX account. But once again, that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your BTNX account. And also, in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But with that being said, if you don't want BTNX for whatever reason, there is also Bybit as another exchange out there I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video as well. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at Solana on the 3-day time frame, obviously Solana right now has indeed broken back below around 200 to 210, which was acting as some support right here in the short term. But now that we've lost that level, lost 200, clearly we've flipped much more bearish ever since we broke below that level. And in fact, over the last 1 to 2 weeks here, I've been warning about how if the price of Solana breaks below around 200 to 210, expect a quick move down towards around 180. And that's exactly what we've seen as expected. The moment we broke below around 200, we saw a very quick move down towards $180 as expected. And right now at close to 180, we do have a bit of support right here. But if we break below 180 and continue this dump right here, expect the next support at close to around $165, and below 165 we do have more support at around 152, and below that more support at around 140. And if we're taking a look at the support and resistance levels on this Solana chart on the 8-hour time frame, obviously, as you can see right here, that $205 level that I've been talking about for weeks now on the channel, that was acting as major support here in the short term. But the moment we broke below 205, we immediately saw a very quick drop to the downside, which is something that I've been warning about here on the channel. I said, if we drop below 205, really around 200, expect much more bearish price action in the coming weeks or potentially potentially months. And right now, this has started. And so like I just said, right around that $180 level, we do have some support at around $180. But if this pullback continues here, expect to move down towards this next area of support, which is sitting in between around 156 to 161 here on the 8-hour time frame. And as for resistance, in case we see a bounce at any of these levels right here, essentially previous support will likely become new resistance. So if we saw a major bounce back to the upside here, expect a lot of resistance at around 200 to 210, and then more resistance at 222, more resistance at 232, significant resistance at 246, and significant resistance at $260. And if we're zooming into this 8-hour time frame right here, we can see the price of Solana is not only trending in the bearish direction, but actually accelerating the bearish trend. And so obviously, if you've been watching my videos, even just for the last few weeks or so, you'll know that I've already been saying Solana is simply just bearish right now in the short term. We're clearly trending in the bearish direction on these smaller time frames, forming lower highs and lower lows, which is bearish price structure. We were breaking below key support levels here in the short term, rejecting from key resistance levels here in the short term. That is all bearish price structure. So I've been saying for weeks now on the channel, Solana is simply bearish in the short term. And something else that I've also been warning about here on the channel is, of course, the Solana Bitcoin chart. In case you're new to this channel, this is Solana versus Bitcoin on the 3-day time frame. And right now we're in the middle of a major move to the downside on the Solana Bitcoin chart. And when I shared this major bearish signal, major warning signal, roughly around a week ago now on the channel, a lot of people in the comments were telling me that I'm just a perma bear and I'm spreading fear and there's FUDs and I'm just clickbaiting and that there's no way we could possibly see a crash in the price of crypto. But this is exactly what is right now playing out, as I've been warning about for weeks. And so right now, the Solana Bitcoin chart is only about halfway between the point of the breakdown and the full technical price target for this breakdown right here, which means it's likely this bearish price action will continue. And with this chart being against Bitcoin, not against the US dollar, it means Solana will underperform whatever Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin is dumping, Solana will dump even more than Bitcoin. Or if Bitcoin has a bounce back to the upside, Solana might not necessarily play out that same bounce that Bitcoin might. And so overall, not a lot has changed for Solana over the last few days. I'm still bearish in the short term, and especially on the Solana Bitcoin chart, as I've been warning about. And if we're taking a look at Cardano on the weekly time frame, of course, right now we're continuing that major rejection from this exact golden pocket area of resistance I've also been warning about since before we saw that rejection, and that's sitting in between around $1.13 to $1.23. And so right now, if we were to see another bounce back to the upside here, that is still acting as major resistance on the Cardano price chart. And as for support, we do have some support right around here at around 80 cents to 83 cents, give or take, based on this previous high becoming new support. But if we were to break well below 80 cents, then in that case, we could potentially move down towards around 60 cents as the next significant level of support on the larger timeframes. And if we're taking a look at this Cardano chart on the 12-hour time frame, of course, we're still perfectly playing out this bearish divergence that obviously I've been warning about since all the way back up here when the price was at around $1.20 to $1.30. And so as I've been saying since all the way back up there, I would not be buying any Cardano right now. I'll not be longing Cardano right now. We have a lot of short-term risk and we're likely going to play out a pullback here, or at the very least, some sideways price action. That's exactly what I said back here. And right now, I'm still saying that right now. We're still looking bearish. But with that being said, as of right now on the 12-hour time frame, the RSI did just briefly enter into oversold territories, as we could see. So technically speaking, that is a signal telling us that we might be due to see a bit of a bounce or at least a bit of a break from all of this bearish price action here, but not necessarily the end of this short-term bearish trend, because in the short term, technically speaking, the price is now trending in the bearish direction with lower highs and lower lows and clearly bearish momentum. And so this oversold signal right here tells us that we might just see a little bit of a bounce or a relief during this bearish trend, which once again can reset the RSI back to the upside, giving us more room to the downside later on. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this 6-hour Cardano chart, technically speaking, the price of Cardano is now playing out this bearish head and shoulders pattern that I've been warning about recently here on the channel. I've been saying if we break below around 92 cents, give or take, then expect a continued bearish move to lower prices, and the full technical price target for this break to the downside, which is technically right now active, that's sitting at around 64 to 65 cents approximately. So right now we've made it close to around halfway between the point of the breakdown and the price target right here. And technically speaking, if we bounce all the way back up and actually break out back above the point of the breakdown here, back above this neckline at around 91 to 92 cents, then in that case, that would invalidate this price target and invalidate this pattern. And so as I shared recently here on the channel, when I talked about this pattern right here, this was a short-term trading opportunity that we could have taken here. Of course, once we confirmed a break below this neckline, so once we saw a candle close below around 91 to 92 cents, that was the signal right there to open a short position if you were to trade this move to the downside here, shorting a move towards the price target. And then as I also mentioned recently here on the channel, of course, if you're taking this short position for this trading opportunity right here, you're profiting along the way to the downside, and then I'll take some profits around key levels of support along the way down, and also take profits at around the price target. And at this point in this short position right here, if you've taken this trading opportunity, personally, I'll be moving my stop loss at the very least to my entry, but ideally moving my stop loss at least into a little bit of profits, so that in the worst case scenario for a short position, which would be a bounce back to the upside here, in that worst case scenario, you would still come away with profits because I'll just hit your stop loss and close the trade automatically in profits. And as for short-term support levels to watch out for, we do have a bit of support at around 78 cents, and we have more support at around 75 cents approximately, and more support at around 72 cents. And so as I mentioned recently here on the channel, when I shared this trading opportunity right here, I would potentially take some profits out of that short position around these levels right here, because the price could possibly bounce from these levels right here, which would be bad for a short position. So that's why I'll take profits around key levels of support, but not necessarily close the entire trade, just close a small portion of the trade and then have the stop loss in profits. So by doing that, essentially you're protecting yourself in the worst case scenario and still leaving a lot of the position open in case we continue towards the price target and you continue to profit even during this dump. So in case you're new to all of this, yes, you heard that right. You can profit. You can make more money when the price is actually crashing here, because you can use things like short positions to profit along the way down. All you need to know is the entry and the exits in order to be profitable in crypto, no matter if the price is bullish or bearish. And once again, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities, check out those links below this video to claim those extra bonuses over on those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.